Jordan Peele's Nope, or as I like to call it, the word girls used to say when I asked them out in high school, is Peele's third film after Us and Get Out.
I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could.
In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into Nope, its UFO, the film's most cryptic elements, and of course, the ending. So come ride with me past a sea of sky dancers. I honestly didn't know they were called that, because here we go. This is O.J. Haywood. No, not that O.J. A down-and-out animal wrangler for the film and television industry. It's a business his father Otis Sr. and family started decades ago. But after his father's sudden death, when a coin struck him unexpectedly from the sky, we learn the ranch is in dire financial straits. Now you may be asking yourself, how does a coin falling from the sky kill a man? In fact, Mythbusters debunked the "can a penny falling off the Empire State Building kill you" myth years ago. So whatever shot that penny from the sky had to have done so with tremendous force. It couldn't have been debris from an airplane, as the government concluded. The government seems to be covering up a lot of stuff. We later learn that the aerial view from Google in this area is blurred, and the massacre at Jupiter's Claim is dismissed as a flash flood, but we'll get to that in a bit. Before Otis Sr. is tragically killed, we get our first clue as to how this UFO operates. And I know in the film they sometimes use the word UAP, but in this video I'll be using UFO and monster to describe this thing. It can turn off any sort of electronic device, whether it be plugged in or battery operated. This will become important later on. The film picks up 6 months after Otis Sr.'s death. As we get glimpses of OJ's typical day tending to the horses, you can hear the radio in the background talk about a missing tourist. Peele sprinkles these subtle hints that this place isn't what it seems throughout the film. OJ hasn't processed the trauma of his father's death, and to make matters worse, his job on set is far from glamorous. When a set worker startles one of OJ's horses, OJ is fired and the horse is replaced with a CG one. He's part of a dying industry, one his ancestors founded years ago. In fact, Emerald, OJ's sister, is sure to mention to everyone during the safety meeting that the first film ever recorded was that of a black man on a horse. That was OJ and Emerald's distant grandfather, and they've been in this business ever since. Fun fact, this 1878 film was captured by Edward Muybridge, and the TMZ writer we'll later meet is named Ryder Muybridge. To make ends meet, OJ has had to sell some of his horses to a local amusement park called Jupiter's Claim, a park run by beloved child star Ricky Jupe Park. Ricky's entire life has been one of spectacle. He was an actor on Kid Sheriff, a hit TV show, pimps out his family for an upcoming reality show, and has even rented his special memorabilia room for people to sleep in, a room which holds items from the Gordy Show, a 1990s sitcom where the star was a chimpanzee named Gordy who suddenly went crazy and killed multiple people on set. This idea of spectacle is echoed in the Bible quote shown at the beginning of the film. It's from the book of Nahum and states, "I will pelt you with filth, I will treat you with contempt and make you a spectacle." Many of the animals in the film are treated with contempt, from the horses Jupe sacrifices to feed the UFO, Gordy, who's exploited for a TV show, and even OJ's horse Lucky, who's treated poorly by the crew. All of this was done in the name of spectacle, from Jupe's Star Lasso experience, which I'll get to in a bit, the Gordy Show, or the film set OJ was working on. When we see a spectacle, we can't seem to take our eyes off it, so it's somewhat ironic that the UFO focuses its attacks on those who look at it. Emerald and OJ have an okay type of relationship, however it's not without its resentment. Emerald was promised on her 9th birthday that she'd get to train her own horse, Jean Jacket, but their father ended up giving the horse to OJ to train. This is why OJ later calls the UFO Jean Jacket, giving Emerald a chance to tame it. That's because this UFO isn't some flying saucer controlled by aliens. It's an organic being, an alpha predator of unknown origin. The title Nope, some believe, is an acronym for Not of Planet Earth. We're not exactly sure how long this thing has been here, but we can assume at least 6 months from Otis Sr.'s death. Even though he's under financial stress, OJ doesn't want to sell the ranch. His father changed the industry, and he can't seem to let that go. The ranch is filled with memorabilia, and OJ even keeps the coin that killed his father and mounts it on the wall. So if they're not going to sell the ranch, they need an alternative source of income, and luckily one night, OJ discovers that some sort of UFO has been circling their ranch. Emerald has the crazy idea to catch the UFO on camera. If they could get the first legitimate proof that some sort of extraterrestrial has visited the planet, that's gotta be enough money to save the ranch. So they do what any rational person would do and set up a bunch of camera equipment, getting it at Fry's, which is a now defunct electronics store which actually had a UFO display at its Burbank location. It's here we're introduced to Angel, who ends up being their electronics expert throughout their crazy journey. In order to attract this UFO, Emerald steals a decoy horse from Jupiter's claim, and their plan works, sort of. The UFO sucks up the decoy horse like some sort of twister, but because of its ability to turn off electronics, one of the two cameras is disabled, while the other is blocked by a praying mantis covering the lens. A praying mantis that conveniently unblocks himself from view as soon as the UFO leaves. The movie deals with a lot of supernatural stuff, but is it too far of a stretch to think that something may be coercing these animals? There are other such strange incidents, like OJ's horse Ghost breaks from his pen and runs towards the UFO. Then there's this strange shoe that magically stands completely upright as if defying gravity during Gordy's attack. Not to mention Gordy goes from brutally killing several people to fist-bumping young Jupe. Maybe this is why Jupe survived. Instead of looking directly at the spectacle of Gordy killing, he was instead looking at this shoe. Is something affecting these animals in ways we cannot comprehend? Could this be what OJ refers to as a, quote, bad miracle? The Gordy incident was tragic, but Jupe profited off of it. Hell, some couple paid him $50K to sleep in his memorabilia room. I also want to bring up this guy. He's seen multiple times throughout the trailer, but in the theatrical version, at least the one that I watched, he was completely cut from the movie. He seems to be somehow associated with the Gordy show. This is probably a reflection of Gordy in his glasses. During the massacre, he walks towards the violence, unscared, as the crowd, seen here wearing 90s clothes, walks away from it. He's billed on IMDb as Nobody. If any of you know who this guy really is, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. With their plan to capture the UFO on tape a bust, Emerald tries to get that cinematographer from the shoot they were on at the beginning, Antlers Holst, to come and film the impossible. They'll refer to this as the impossible or Oprah shot, a shot so spectacular Oprah herself would have to cover it. He initially declines their offer, but after the events at the Star Lasso experience, he changes his mind. Antler's name may be a nod to an iconic scene in Get Out, I won't spoil it. The Star Lasso experience refers to Jupe's new show at Jupiter's claim. He says that he and his family have been feeding this monster at the same time every week, and now he's turned it into a show and plans to exploit it as part of his theme park. He even has tons of alien merch. This exploitation ends up biting him in the ass, and it seems this monster can't be tamed. All the spectators, including this disfigured woman who is Jupe's child co-star on Gordy's home, are sucked into the monster's hole. I hope I never have to say that again. Now, I wasn't sure because it's never brought up in the movie if this disfigurement was the result of Gordy's attack those years ago. Otis shows up at Jupiter's claim to find the place is completely deserted. That is, except for his horse Lucky, who is pretty lucky to be the only survivor aside from a pig found on a roof. OJ witnesses the monster and hears the screams of the people it has sucked inside before it swoops in to attack him, but he's knocked out. Upon gaining consciousness, he rushes back to the farm, but his car stops as the UFO's electrical field nullifies it. Atop his home, the UFO spits out pretty much anything that isn't organic, including coins and pieces of metal, and it does so with tremendous force. That's where that coin came from that killed OJ's father. It was spit out by the monster. Blood rains down on the home from the bodies of its sucked up victims, and it's one of the film's most chilling moments. OJ, Emerald, Angel, and Antlers team up in another attempt to catch the monster on camera. OJ refers to the UFO as an animal, and every animal has rules to how they operate. If they can figure this one's out, maybe they can capture it on film. OJ believes this one won't eat you as long as you don't look at it, perhaps a result of him being knocked out and unable to look at it while at Jupiter's claim. He ended up surviving that. Antlers brings with him a manually cranked camera, bypassing the need for electricity. Their plan is pretty ingenious and involves dozens of spaced out sky dancers running on batteries which act as detectors. If one of them stops working, it means the UFO is nearby, and this thing can mimic clouds, so it can be hard to spot when not showing itself. The monster arrives just as this TMZ reporter guy comes investigating. This all goes back to spectacle, and what outlet relies on that more than anything? Well, TMZ. This guy's electric motorcycle stops suddenly as the creature's anti-electric field hits it, propelling him forward and gravely injuring him. Now OJ tries to save him, but the man is so obsessed with getting the shot that OJ has to leave him. He's sucked up and OJ gallops away on Lucky as the UFO pursues, but OJ has a trick up his sleeve. He unfurls a large rainbow parachute, the same color as the flags attached to the decoy horse, which the monster hated and spat out. His theory being that the monster would avoid eating anything rainbow. I know where I'm going if one of these attacks. Antlers goes for the impossible shot, taking his mobile camera and recording actually being sucked up by the beast. Talk about sacrificing yourself for your art. This is a guy who went from doing shitty commercials that no one will ever remember to recording one of the most memorable things caught on film. That is if his film survives. We never find out what happened to it, but we know the monster spits out anything that isn't organic. When Angel survives being sucked up by it, having wrapped himself around a tarp and barbed wire, you can make out a broken viewfinder on the ground. We aren't sure if this is from another camera or something that the monster spat out, but at leaves hope there is some amazing footage out there and that Antler's sacrifice wasn't in vain. The final showdown takes place between OJ and the monster, with it changing forms from its saucer-like shape and unfurling into this almost octopus-like entity. It's honestly one of the most strange and alien-like things I've seen. OJ keeps it busy and does this eye motion you can see here towards Emerald, which is the same thing he did when she was 9 years old and was supposed to train Jean Jacket. This gives Emerald enough time to grab the electric motorbike and escape, but we aren't quite sure what happens to OJ. More on that in a bit. Emerald makes her way to Jupiter's claim where she untethers a giant Jupe balloon, hoping that the monster will take the bait. As it floats in the air, Emerald takes photographs of it using the Jupiter's claim wishing well, which is this old-fashioned tourist gimmick where guests can have their photos taken looking down a well. However, in this case, since it points right up into the sky, it allows for some great pictures of the monster devouring the balloon. Once devoured, the balloon explodes, blowing the monster up with it. And as the photos develop, we see that Emerald got that impossible shot, a truly verifiable photo of this UFO. As Emerald relishes in her victory, she sees OJ in the distance on his horse. He doesn't wave or talk, in fact, he and the horse don't even move. Above him is a big sign from the park that says "Out Yonder," like he's really out somewhere else. Is OJ dead and this is just a figment of her imagination, or is he alive? It's really up to the audience to decide. However, I think it makes more sense narratively that he's gone. Much of Emerald's character arc is learning to grow up and handle things without the help of her father or brother. She accomplishes this in the end, and OJ being gone solidifies her doing this on her own. She has finally tamed Jean Jacket. But what did you think of Nope and its ambiguous ending? Is OJ alive or dead? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember,
I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could.